Sup, fellas? So I felt like telling about the time me and my friend almost got mauled by a fucking dog. So this was back in ninth grade, and I walk home with this one friend. Let's call him Steve-O from now on. And he's the same guy I always walked home with from 8th to ninth grade. And he's the same guy from my almost getting a blowjob story. So I'd walk home with him, and walking home with him was pretty fucking fun. Like, we did a lot of shit together. Like, there was this same art that we'd always pass by, and almost every day after school, we'd go in there and we steal shit like snacks and whatnot. And there was some other shit that we did whenever we walked home, and yeah, walking home was like the highlight of a boring school day. It's almost nostalgic now that I think about it because it's becoming a long time. But yeah, walking home was pretty fun. Like, there'd be days where I'd walk home alone, and there was a drastic difference. It'd be really boring, and it'd just be me and my thoughts. So, anyways, it was a normal school day, and we're walking home, talking about whatever, and then we pass by the same mart. So, as usual, we go in there, we get some shit, and when I mean get some shit, we steal some shit. And right next to the same mart, there's an alleyway that takes us to a neighborhood. So, after we do what we do at same mart, we take the alleyway into the neighborhood, and after a short while of walking, we decided to settle down and eat all the shit that we stole from Save Mart, which were some snacks and candies and like chocolate bars and donuts and shit like that. So there was this house by this cul-de-sac, and the house had a ledge we could sit on, and the house looked like no one lived in it. It looked like it was empty or for sale or some shit like that because it looked empty. And there was no cars or nothing. It was just, and the grass was like dead. So it looked like an empty house. So we decided to settle ourselves on this ledge and eat the snacks. And after a while of just chilling and eating the snacks, I look at my friend and I tell him, "Hey, let's play Naruto." And he was like, "Alright." And what we were basically going to do is just horseplay, or at least try to mimic how they fight in the Naruto Ninja Storm games, but actually hit each other with kicks and body shots and slaps and or whatever. And so we got on the grass of this house, and we were basically in the front yard of this house, and we started to throw kicks at each other and shit and trying to do ninja shit, and we probably looked pretty fucking stupid, I imagine. So after a good 1 or 2 minutes of doing this in front of this random person's house, we hear the door open, and we look over, and then we see this fucking dog coming at us barking, and immediately I'm like, oh fucking shit. And the dog wasn't huge. It was like the size of a pit bull. It wasn't like huge like a German shepherd. It was more like medium sized. It wasn't exactly a pit bull, but it was big enough to fuck up someone. And it seemed like it was most likely trained. So this dog comes straight towards me, and the first thing I do, I just immediately jump off this guy's yard and I run into the middle of the street. And it doesn't go after me, thankfully. It stays in the front yard. Then I'm like, fuck, because I left my backpack and my textbooks on the ledge. So I had to risk going back to get it and getting bit by this fucking crazy ass dog. So my friend just stands there, and he's still on the grass, and he's just facing the dog. The dog doesn't attack him, but the dog's all like, barking at him and shit. And it doesn't attack him, which is a good thing. And he's not scared. He's just standing there, like, refusing to get off the grass. And me and my friend both like dogs, so it's not like we're going to do anything to this dog. And so the guy who let out the dog on us, we looked at him, and we saw what he looked like because he popped out the door. And he's some really short redhead with glasses. And this kid goes to our school because I've seen him around. And I started walking back to get my shit that I left. And I don't want to risk being bit by this dog. So I asked the guy if he could call his dog back so I could get my stuff. So then the guy whistles at his dog. And his dog goes back inside the house like it's nothing. And then my friend gets off the front yard. And then I get my shit, and the guy who let the dog out doesn't say anything. He just looks at us the whole time. And so after I get my shit, me and my friend just start walking away. And once we start walking away, my friend, being the person he is, turns around and starts trying to start shit with this guy. He flips him off, and then he's like, "Fuck you!" And he just starts yelling that at this guy. And I find it pretty funny how this guy responds because this guy does not look intimidating at all. So this guy flips him off, and he starts doing it like a hand motion, calling my friend back over this. And it's not a good idea because once my friend, if he did go back over there, the dog would have probably fucking attacked him, and yeah, that wouldn't be good. And so this kid is not intimidating looking at all. I guess you could say he was nerdy. And so my friend wants to go back over there to fight him, but I convinced him not to because I just basically told him straight up. I told him, I was like, "Dude, that kid's a nerd, bro. Just forget about it. He's a nerd. Look at him." And basically my friend's like, whatever, and just shrugs it off. And so we just continue to walk home. And after that, we just started cracking up and talking about the whole thing. And then my friend was like telling me like, "Oh, bro, why were you scared of that dog? Why'd you run?" And I was like, "Maybe because it was fucking coming directly at me first." So yeah, after that, we just walked home, and shortly after that, my friend met the guy who let the dog out on us because they were in a lunch line together, and my friend just started talking to him. And yeah, from what my friend told me, they got along pretty well, and they became cool with each other, and they just laughed about the whole thing. And yeah, that was pretty much it. So that's how I almost got mauled by a fucking dog. And if you got any stories like this, go ahead and share them in the comments. Let me know. I would love to read them. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed.